Hi there, and welcome to a new episode of The Neighbor Effect. I'm Daria, your host, and today I'm talking to Supitcha, an architect, professor, and passionate advocate for community-based design. We are recording this conversation in Bangkok at the Faculty of Architecture, where I was warmly welcomed by my guest. In our conversation, Supitcha shares how she brings her students out of the classroom into the real world. We also explore why designers should remember their own knowledge limitations, what creative tools can help involve people in shaping their surroundings, and how COVID-19 unexpectedly helped activate local communities and engage them in collective work. Supitcha also talks about her playful, people-centered projects for Bangkok Design Week and how she manages to combine architecture and flowers in her practice. This episode, in my opinion, is full of joyful experimentation, from working with monks to spark tourism, to understanding how different generations influence neighborhood development. This podcast is brought to you by Urban Therapy, a project where people rediscover their cities and connect with others through creative and mindful practices. Thank you for joining the podcast. I'm very interested and excited to know about you and your projects. Can you please start telling about yourself, about your projects, about your job in the university?
Okay. So my name is Associate Professor Dr. Supitcha, or people will call my nickname or Ajahn Nong. Ajahn means teacher or professor, so Ajahn Nong. And I'm teaching full-time at the Faculty of Architecture, Silabakon University. It's in Bangkok, and it's located in the very district, like a very central district of Bangkok, in the inner Bangkok Old District. It's the opposite of the Grand Palace. And I'm teaching architecture, but my expertise is in neighborhood rehabilitation or community development. So as you mentioned, Klong Bang is one of the community that I have been working with since 2014. And a lot of the time that I'm working with the local community, I always bring my students with me. So it's a part of the curriculum, both for the undergraduate and also the postgraduate. So I have a variety of level of students that I'm working with. Like for the bachelor degree, they are very young, second year student, they are like 19 years old, like so teenagers. So, and then I also have like a postgraduate on vernacular architecture and built environment. And that will be a bit more mature, where they are, a bit maybe 20 something or 30 something, where they have a people skill a bit more. But just mention that because you need a different approach for each group of the student. For the younger generation, like the teenagers, maybe you need to be a bit more supportive in terms of you have to really prepare them to talk to the elder, because as teenagers, they have a lot of energy, they have a lot of goodwill, but at the same time, they don't know how to make a friendly face. And that's like the bottom rule of working with local communities or working with the public. But for the mature one, like the master degree or the PhD, they probably know how to respond to people and they can read the people's eye and body language, or maybe they don't want to talk to me anymore, and they have a bit more. So I have been working with the local communities for I think 10 years, because I studied architecture, and then I went to the UK to do my master degree and PhD at the Oxford Brookes University, and then the UCL, the University College of London, at the Bartlett Development Planning Unit. And my PhD is about community development. So when I'm back, I think I'm back in 2010 or 2011, I started to have like a live project in my classroom where we go to the local communities and then learning from them and trying to experiment some small design convention that can catalyze some changes, can be something very small. And I also like a student of Nabil Hamdi, Professor Nabil Hamdi. He's like one of the most important professor on participatory design and people empowerment, and I was lucky enough to be his teacher assistant when I did my master degree and PhD. So he always emphasized on small changes, so we don't have to build a big or master planning or big infrastructure, but we as a designer or as an architect can do something small using our skill as a designer to make things a little bit more pleasant, more welcoming, more encouraging, and through that we kind of like catalyze or empower the local to change just a little bit, to see the potential of what if they change a little bit, what would it be? And so far I'm pretty confident to say that if you are patient enough and you use your design skill in a very humble way, where you learn with them, you're not the expert who go there and teach them that you have to design your community like this, like that. If you be human, learn from them and let them learn from you, I can see some changes. And Klong Bang is one of the first community that I'm work with my students since I'm back from UK. And from the very empty and very quiet neighborhood, and perhaps too quiet, because if you ask the local, I mean, they don't want to have such a pack tourists, they don't want that, but they also want someone to come and visit their proud community, right? So through, I think we work with them like 3 or 4 or 5 years to see the changes. Now if you go to Klong Bang, it's very lively, and it's not done by the outsider, or it's not done by some kind of big corporate at all. It's all been developed, and the new businesses also emerge from the local entrepreneur, perhaps the local community leader, or sometimes it's a younger generation of the elderly who living there. And most of the time, because it's an old district, so the teenagers or the younger generation prefer to work in the city. But now they go back and then they launch some new business model, which is not something, it's not rocket science. It's like they turn their parents' house into like a hobby house, where now the teenagers love it so much, which I'm also surprised, because I think now you have internet, you have Netflix, you have YouTube, you have TikTok, and everything. But somehow I think on the contrast, the teenagers want something slow and small and something little. It doesn't have to be. They can just spend days on drawing and painting in the community along the canal, something like that. So I also learned that, wow, that's a pretty interesting business, and now it's so popular. So if you go to Klong Bang Luang nowadays, you will see a lot of teenagers going there just to have a glimpse of old Bangkok, because Klong means canal. So Klong Bang Luang community is next to a canal named Bang Luang. It's like a settlement hundreds of years ago in Ayutthaya period, something like that. And before, Bangkok was the main transportation was through canal, right? We were once called Venice of the East, something like that. But of course, through urbanization and so on and so forth. So, it got abandoned, it's got into something not interesting, not so charming, not so sexy. But now it's very lively, like I said. So if you Google Klong Bang Luang, Bangkok, it changed a lot from 2014 that I have been witnesses. And after Klong Bang Luang, then I moved my class to an area very near my university. Klong Bang Luang is like 15-minute driving from my university, and I'm lucky. I'm so privileged to have my university here, because it's in the Pratnakhon district, which is the most, it's next to the Grand Palace. It's next to the Wat Phra Kaew, Wat Po, which is, is where the city emerged since Ratanakosin era. So Klong Bang Luang is 15 minutes, or let's say 20 minutes driving from my university. But then now I get a little more lazy, so I chose the neighborhood even nearer to my university, which is the Bangkok Flower Market, or we call it Pak Klong Tala. So the flower market is not 15 minutes or 20 minutes by car, it's 15 minutes by walking. And it's an area that I have been so familiar with since I was a student here, because I also study here. So I kind of know the area and see it change a lot from, before it was a bit more lively, but now through the governmental policy where they move the governmental offices outside of the old district area. Before you would have the governmental staff, who live here, work here, and at lunchtime it would be so packed. But through the policy, because of the urbanization, they moved the governmental staff out of the old district. So the city became more like a Disneyland, where after the business hour, it's empty. So it's only for the tourists to come and then to enjoy things. So it's changing. That's one of the challenges. But then we also have the Bangkok Flower Market, which in 2016, there's also the government policy that trying to the city beautification program, and also of course for public health and safety as well. So if you Google Pak Klong Talat or Bangkok Flower Market, I have in the past, like before 2016, you would get the images like a digital footprint of something very packed. For example, you will have a very wide pavement, but then you will only have 1 meter or 80 centimeters to walk, which is not ideal for public safety, so on and so forth. But at the same time, it's kind of like their way of life, So before internet era, when we still use the Lonely Planet, if you remember in the past, once upon a time, we don't have internet and people use the guidebook, right? Pak Klong Talat will be one of the tourist attraction that the tourists need to come and to see, because it's so different from developed countries or from other countries, which is also the pro and con. The pro is very charming. I also find it charming, but I'm pretty romanticized in that time. Like, oh, this is so fun. A little walkway, a little bit of like a trap on the floor where you step on something and then the water will bombing you. But it's fun. But the con is that, of course it's charming, but it's not good for public health and public safety. So in 2016, the government succeed to trying to change the area to make it a real public space, and that's the very challenging word. Public space means for the public, but it doesn't have to mean it has to be empty 100% of the time. And in that time, that's the definition that it was happening. So they get rid of all the street vendors from the pavement because they withdraw the permission for them to sell on the pavement. So just to remind you that before it was not illegal to sell things on the pavement because they got permission, but because it's getting too crowded and people extend that permission bit by bit. So after they withdraw all the permission, so it's not like gradually changing, and then like one day you're gonna move and all day and all night. So there was a lot of problems there, and I just started my class in 2016, and by saying that I do the Klong Bang Luang and Pak Klong Talat in parallel. So sometimes I work with Klong Bang Luang a little bit, and then I start to explore new neighborhood. So Pak Klong Talat, it was really, really fun. I love flowers. Because as an architectural student, sometimes we run out of ideas and we go so straightforward, like we cannot be so creative. And because I'm studying here, sometimes I just wandering around Pak Klong Talat and let the chaotic atmosphere lead me to somewhere interesting, or maybe buy one flower and then I got inspired to do something and just to feel better. Because I think personally, flower can make anything, anyone, anywhere better. Even in your worst moment or your happiest moment, it can also amplify your happiness. Imagine you have something to celebrate and you got flower from someone. Oh, it can't be worse, right? Or if you are in the very worst feeling of your life and you've got one little flower, somehow it will lighten up your day a little bit. So I have a bias towards flower. I think it's like it's very like magic, small changes, just like when I did my community project. So back to the 2016. So once they got rid of all the pavement, street vendor, the problem is when you make the pavement walkable, nobody walked there because they couldn't recognize what is this place, because it used to be flower everywhere on the pavement, and there was a news saying that now we don't have Bangkok Design anymore because it's gone. The government got rid of it, and there are also some of the vendors who moved to the like 7 kilometers from the previous location and started what's so-called new Bangkok Design market. Pretty much like in Covent Garden, like the new Covent Garden market in London, like before, and move into a more wholesale flower thing. I forgot to say that the flower market used to be like a wholesale market for flower. So in my time, when I say in my time, I mean when I was a student, it's just long time ago. It wouldn't be possible to buy just one flower because they wholesale. You can't have one rose. You have to buy hundreds because they're wholesale and they didn't even want to bother like separate them for you. So in 2016, everything is gone, and a lot of tourists who came because of the perception of the flower market, they remember it in another way. So when they arrived the flower market, they asked the local vendors like every single day, like, where is the flower market? They are already there, and they're asking like, where is the flower market? I couldn't see anything. So I also make a metaphor like Bangkok Design is like a very beautiful woman who used to be like chasing around by photographers, chasing around with the customers, chasing around with foreign tourists, like, I don't want to bother you, they're so busy. When I was a student and I tried to take a photo of them, there was don't take any photo, you don't bring me any income, like they are in the highest level of the food chain. But once the city beautification program took place, it just feel like those beautiful girls started to be a bit not so confident anymore. It's like, are you the Miss Universe? Where is the Miss Universe? But you are already talking to the Miss Universe. You couldn't recognize her. So I think in 2016, it's one of the first time that I see my Miss Universe flower market got a little bit like a bit more quiet, and I'm not so confident anymore. Before she was really fierce, like yelling. Now it's like, it's not the same person I know anymore. So I brought my student, and because it's the first year, and I also always emphasize on small changes because we don't know enough about the flower market because it's our first year. So don't do anything bigger than your capability. So we just do some photo essay and put it on Facebook called Human of Flower Market. It's kind of inspired from Human of New York, very famous Facebook page. And we just interview people about these changes and how we interested in the relationship between the street vendors and to other section of the trade there. And what's surprising is that we also learning that the people who sell things on the pavement are not the competitor. How to say the one competitors, because most of the time, if you sell food on the pavement, of course you pay less rent than the one who rent the whole shop house, right? And you sell exactly the same thing. But in the flower market, it's different. The one who's spend a lot on the rent, they actually selling imported flowers where they need refrigerator or they need like a cold room. But for the one who sell things on the pavement, most of the time they are local flowers which doesn't need refrigerator or cold temperature. So in a way, it's kind of more like a complementary rather than like a real enemy And we also interview people who own the shop house, who we thought that they're supposed to feel happy because now the shop front would be empty and beautiful, right? When we asked them, they said, I'm not sure about clearing the pavement. But one thing that I'm really concerned is the local economy, because all this local economy and majority of them is informal. It brings like millions of baht or dollars per day, per hours, I don't know. It's a lot of money there because if before 2016 there were 11 branches of commercial bank in those little street. It's just 240 meters, but it has more than 11 commercial bank branches. And that shows a lot that there's a lot of cash there. There's a lot of money that circulate the economy at the national level. So by then we explored and we found so many interesting facts about the relationship, because if you buy the gallon, it's maybe 10 baht, right? It's something cheap, and I didn't even notice it. But once we did that project, just that 10 baht gallon, the roses came from another farm in another province. Jasmine also come from another farm from another province. And the plastic ribbon that is something cheap and so kitsch, is also coming from a farmer in Ayutthaya province who when they have free time from farming the rice field, they do this plastic ribbon, which is not very eco-friendly, but it's just a way to earn extra money for the family. So just 10 baht, something small, something very invaluable, like you found it cheap and you ignore it, and imagine that the whole street was vanishing. Just one gallon that disappeared means it's affect already 3 or 4 farms in different provinces. So we started by doing this photo essay, and because we are a designer, we have no other knowledge than design, which is very limited. I would like to emphasize that we could change things a little, but if you really need a big change, you really have to tackle with policymaker. I'm very aware of my limitation and my possibility. As a designer, when you take a photo of someone, you can make them look better, more happy, more confident, and that's actually meaningful. The photo that we took with them, it's like a farewell party that when we organize a photo exhibition, a lot of them came because it's the last time that they're gonna have to move before they're gonna have to move. So we organized like a photo exhibition where they came and then they writing their own story in the exhibition visitor book, something like that. And from that we found that this area is in a very interesting time where it was so successful, and now it's like the critical point, like whether it's gonna disappear or it has to be transformed to fit with the contemporary lifestyle and fit to the modern urbanization, where maybe wholesale is not perfect for this area so much, or maybe to occupy the public space is not for the future, because at the end of the day also it's so charming, but people need spaces to evacuate if there is a fire, and also for the public health. If you're selling there 24 hours every day, you cannot clean the pavement at all. So either it's disappeared or it has to be transformed. So that's something very interesting for me and for our team to explore further. So since 2016, we continue doing a lot of artistic project there. And again, we're using art and design because we don't know any other things. If I'm smart enough to be, a doctor or, physicist or chemist, but I can use that knowledge to do something, I believe. But because I only know how to transform maybe abstract needs into physical drawing or physical thing, and that's the only weapon that we have as a designer. So we do some small changes like art installation, which may look ridiculous, it doesn't make any change, art installation, but it can be inspiring. And it doesn't make change in a blink of the eyes, but because we have been working with them, through so many years, through some festival, which many people will find superficial, or another event or another festival or another, people come to do the Instagram and that's TikToker, it's directed. No, I would like to argue that if you do this temporary event, small thing, something doesn't look so serious, even ridiculous. I'm working on a mascot, like with my study. But I think we did it with a purpose that if you do it continuously, all these small temporal thing can make long-term changes. And I would like to say that in the first few years when I'm working at the market, I was pretty alone in terms of partners. Because they saw me working, running around, running workshop with their founder. I'm not really out of things at the moment. I also launched some website, like online, that was in 2017, before COVID, which in that time, it was so difficult because they couldn't see any benefit of giving me information and to put it on the Flower Hub space in 2017.
What was there on this website?
It's a website that we got a small grant to do the online database of all the flower shop in the Bangkok flower market, because one of the pain point when people go to the flower market is that they go there and they don't know where to go. And because the market was not so friendly at all, they didn't put any price tag on it. They also are not very kind or very welcoming because they Miss Universe. So for the website, which we did in 2017, it was not very successful in my point of view. But of course, we succeed the project because we knock at every door and collect all the data by ourselves. And we perhaps, if you walk to 20 shops, maybe one shop will give you information, even if it's for free, but they have time to do other things. So, but in 2019, when COVID hit everyone in the world, now that seems that now it's time that they started to inbox me in the Facebook page. Oh, I remember. Like a few years ago, your group doing some online thing, and can we be a part of it? And I was like, it was my fault that I couldn't make it clear to them how they could benefit from the online channel, because before 2017, it was ridiculous to think about you're gonna buy flower online. No way, Flower is even more difficult than food because you cannot control the quality and oh my god, the smell and also the price. The same flower in the morning, in the evening, it's totally different prices. So the COVID somehow made them realize that sometimes life needs emergency exit, and that's something ridiculous in that time. Maybe can benefit. So a lot of them inbox me, and because it's a COVID time, so I cannot take my team to collect data for them anymore. So I just send them the Google form. Something I found out, maybe they didn't know how to do it because they always pretend to be uneducated, which they're not. They're not formally educated in terms of high school, university, but they're so smart, like streetwise smart. So I just sent them the Google form and I didn't expect anything. And then I realized that, in that time that they pretend to, internet, I don't know so much. Internet, I cannot fill the form. They pretended to not be able to do it because they see no benefit of it. And it's not their fault. I couldn't say that, maybe one day COVID would hit. I wouldn't know that. Even when I did that project, I just know that online shopping is coming. Somehow flower would definitely benefit, but then I couldn't show them that, maybe one day people don't have to go to your shop and buy things. It may sound so familiar to buy things online now, because now every day is online, but it's so amazing that 7 years ago or 8 years ago, it was not the case. So when I send them the Google form and expect very low response, it turns out that they could do it. They could tag the GPS, send the location, taking a good photograph of themselves, of the flower that they saw. They can tick all the boxes in the Google form that, I'm selling this, I'm selling that. Basically, they could do it all. I was like, that was painful in a way. In that time, my team was running around, getting yelling at, and but it was fun in a way to think that, because in participatory process, you cannot blame people for not participating. It's your job as the one who initiated the project to show them that it can benefit you. And sometimes it's out of your capability because who would know that COVID would occur in our time? Like, Spanish flu, we wouldn't know. So anyway, that's one of the things. And before COVID, we also did some a small art installation working with local designer. And one of the funny thing that I always tell in my lecture is that because I was a TEDx Bangkok speaker in 2018, so I know a lot of designers. So we have some fun idea that, we're gonna couple the shop owner and a designer, like they're gonna be a duo on working on the arts installation, which sounds fun in terms of in theory. In practice, it's very interesting because designer, most of them are architects, and architect we believe that we could do everything, which we're not, but of course we have such a good intention. So I have a lot of my designer friends, most of them are architects, trying to do some flower installation, which of course it looks different because we're architects. So some of them, holding some plants like leaf on the ceiling, and it was a bit weird, but it was fun in our point of view. At the end of that TEDx event, because it's an event where the speaker will have to do something with the participant, not only to go on the stage and give a talk. We have 5 installations, and when I asked the shop owner what they think about the pieces, and of course my friend who came here didn't get any payment at all. And it doesn't mean that if you are kind, you're going to get compliment. The world doesn't work like that, and you shouldn't expect a good response just because you mean well. They said something that, actually we could do it better than your friend. And they were right, because they are professional florists, right? They can turn, a pack of flowers into unicorn, to elephant, to dinosaur, like in 5 minutes. But what made me keep going is that they point out one point is that, but it's good that you invited your friends to work with us, because it kind of transformed our personality, our characters from a very close group of people to be a bit more open. And that is the character that they're looking for, because they know that they cannot be the Miss Universe who own the crown and be on the top of the mountain anymore. They learn that the world's changing so fast, and if they don't adapt, they would disappear from the map. And because they said that it's more we could do it better, but your friend did it in a very interesting way. It's very refreshing. I mean, it's not beautiful in terms of decoration. Architectural students may spend hours on something that the flower market vendors can do in 2 seconds, something like that. But it creates something new, something that's not unicorn, it's not elephant, but it's something abstract, something hanging there and hanging here, someone using lighting installation. It's something weird. But because we do it's very small scale, right? So it's slowly trying to changing or explore the possibility for them to see if they change a little bit, like inviting people to do the experiment with them, rather than try to close the door when someone trying to do something with them. It can give some unexpected outcome. And through that, so in 2020, before that, sorry, during COVID in 2019 or 2020, I also used some AR technology, because I learned that if we use fresh flower, we wouldn't be better than that. We should bring something that can complement or fulfill what they couldn't do by themselves, which is technology. So we try to do some like a filter, an Instagram filter, where you can scan the QR code, and then you can get a flower filter on Instagram, something like that. So if you go to the physical world, it's the same. But because nowadays, people have mobile phone all the time, you can perceive the same place in a totally different environment, a different vibe. but before that we have like an online quiz where you have to answer some basic 10 questions like who would you think about when you have a holiday, who would you be with, your friend, your family, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your partner, and then all those answer will lead you to your flower personality. Yeah, and then those flower personality would be Instagram filter that hidden around the neighborhood. So, the younger generation, they love this kind of thing, something that they have to, it's customized to their answer, to themselves. And then they have to go and explore. It's like a hunting, like a treasure hunting. So it was very popular. And I just learned that, okay, maybe we as an architect, we shouldn't do something with fresh flower anymore because we couldn't do it. But maybe we can design other things that can be complement to the fresh flower that already beautiful in the market. We don't have to take the fresh flower, do an installation for people to visit for free, but they can come and play at our AR artwork and buy fresh flower from the local vendors. So we did photograph, we did the AR, we did the online quiz. We had to do some street art, street photo exhibition, and sometimes we did the workshop. Within that time, the vendor was like, "Oh, who would bother do the workshop? Be so busy working." But the turning point of the flower market is that in 2023, I walked to the CEA, which is the Creative Economy Agency. It's some kind of governmental supported organization where they promoted designer, younger designer networking, something like that. And of course, they emphasize on creative economy. And I talked to them and I showed them all of the work that we did at the Bangkok Flower Market. Like, we did photograph, we did art installation, and would it be possible to have Bangkok Flower Market as an official creative district endorsed by the CEA or the Creative Economy Agency? And then they look at through the work, I talked to them, I think it's 2022. So through the 5 years of working, they saw some potential there, and then they give some small grants to start this, creative district of Bangkok Flower Market. And because CEA is very famous for Bangkok Design Week, which is a very good brand to stick with, because there's a lot of younger generation who will look for the Bangkok Design Week, because it's happened every year, 9 days a year. But you will get the best designer, best upcoming designer to show their new ideas and inspiration. So we were so glad that we were a part of Bangkok Design Week in 2023. Like officially, we were recognized as Creative District. And because it was the first year, so I pour all the things that I have done in the past through that first year Design Week at Bangkok Dalat or the Bangkok Flower Market. And because every time when I did this kind of festival, I also do the evaluation form. And that is so important, because before the Design Week, I asked my friend during the COVID time, he's a very talented concert designer, and because it's a COVID time, so he was available. Before he was working on organizing concert every day. He's one of the best concert designer in Thailand, but because of the COVID, so he's free. he's available. So I asked him, could you help us explore, like using my student and teaching my student how to explore how we can perceive flower in a different way, in a way that concert designer, they are so good and make people feel different. Like sometimes you cry because your artist say something, and then the lighting, they are like a manipulator of human emotion. And then he helped me and my student doing some. We used fresh flower, but in a very different way. That we did some installation in the abandoned mezzanine floor of the market, something like that. It's the abandoned space that not most of people wouldn't know that exists. is like a canteen for the local labor. And in that time, we did the evaluation form. So we have 4 big installations and asked people what they think and how much they spend when they came to the art exhibition, because we didn't ticket them. You can come to the exhibition for free, but you have to buy flower from the local vendors, and you can use those flower as a free ticket. And we just want to know, because we are so bad at marketing. I study architecture. I'm so bad at marketing. I'm trying so hard to sell something, and every time when I think about selling something, it wasn't that like so sellable.
Yeah.
It's still connected too much about cultural value, which is not sellable. So I learned from my friend, Kun Pon that, oh, you don't have to think much. You just, if you don't know what to do, you just know, because you're already supported by university, right? You just don't ticket people for money, but you ticket them for flower that they bought. And directly, people have to buy flower and to enter our exhibition. And then during that 9 days, during the COVID time, where people still quarantine, but because we of course we have some strategy and things to make it safe. It's about 300,000 baht, which is maybe not that much, like maybe 10,000 US dollar as a circulation fund in 9 days. It's not much, but it's not little. And we found that, oh, okay, whether they like it or not, whether they agree with the art installation or not, but there's some money in the system. There's some money in those 9 days. And then I interviewed some of them. Some of them say that, wow, this is great. I earn a lot more. But then I also interviewed other people, and then I said, it doesn't make any change. And that was surprising, because 5,000 people came, and you said nothing changed. How could that be possible? And then I realized that the vendors who selling the flower near the exhibition can sell so many flowers, right? But the one who sell their flower further from my exhibition, because we only have in one spot. The one who's selling things, it may be 10 minutes walking, couldn't benefit anything from my event. So I learned that if I do the design week, I have to spread all the activity around the neighborhood. Otherwise, it will be just one shop to get all the 10,000 US dollar during 9 days. So through that, in the first year, it's the first time that a lot of teenagers would come, and I also didn't know what would happen. But because we work with art installation here, something fun, something casual, something Instagrammable before the design week. Some local shops adapt themselves from doing only the wholesale. Now they have some small bunch, like selling it cheaply, because if you buy the whole pack of roses, for example, you get maybe 50 roses for 200 baht or something. Of course, it's cheap, but who would need 200 flowers in one go, right? So because the younger generation came like more often, and more people came, and some local shops adapt themselves very quickly. But like I said, they are so much better at marketing than me. So when they see potential of this new customer, a lot of shops, instead of selling a pack of 5 sunflower for 250 baht, they sell one for 50 baht, or they sell one for 80 baht, which is the margin is actually higher. So when we had the Bangkok Flower Market Festival as a part of Bangkok Design Week in 2023, and of course I did the evaluation one, there was about 30,000 visitors, let's say 30,000 times of visiting around the neighborhood. And we also do the evaluation form, and turns out that most of them are 18 to 34. And even the 18 to 24 is the majority. So that's the new customer who came. And we also asking them how much they spend coming to this design week at the flower market. And it turns out that it's nearly 4 million baht, which you have to convert into the currency that you're listening to. So 4 million baht. Okay, that's not little anymore. Before we have we were excited at 10,000 US dollar, right? Which is 300,000 baht. Now it's like 10 times more than what the event that we created. And it's 6 times of the budget that we spent as an investment. And now it's just look at the data and like, oh, okay, that's not too bad. All this ridiculous thing that we're running around doing something little here, little there, for sure is increase the revenue of the local neighborhood. And then again, when I did the interview with the local vendors, of course, this time I got much more positive feedback from them. But there's still some minority vendor who say that, oh, it was so crowded, I'm so tired. I was like, oh, I thought I did everything I could to bring people to the market, right? But why didn't they be so happy about having this new customer and earning money? Then I realized that because they were the shop that didn't adapt themselves to the retail, they're still selling the wholesale. So of course, they didn't benefit anything from this. Teenagers came and taking photo and buying one flower. They would buy from other shop, right? So they didn't benefit anything. And then I realized that, okay, maybe we really have to take things slow, because if we're gonna really want to empower them to be changed to the new era, it has to be something slow. If you throw 40,000 at one go and they didn't prepare, it just pain in the neck. Like, oh, why these people came and blocking my shops? But of course they were smart, so only the minority of them couldn't gain anything from this new customer. So we did it again last year, 2024, and this year I could see the real difference, because now they know that, oh, last year some teenagers came, oh, they don't want to buy the whole pack, they just want some, like, one flowers or one daisy wrapping with some monotone color of paper, not some Chinese newspaper that they used to have, right? So they learn that, okay, maybe a little design can make change, can be better at marketing. So since then, the retail trend has been increasing, and also the online buying has been more popular since the COVID. So things are changing. And before, the vendors of Pak Khong Kalat are famous for being so mean, being so unkind, like getting annoyed very easily, right? But now they learn that if you have teenagers coming as a new customer, you cannot be angry at them. I was surprised at first when I found out that how could that whole atmosphere become so friendly? It was not the person I know 20 years ago, right? Because they're Miss Universe, right? They don't have to smiling or trying so hard. But I could see that sometimes they even have staff helping them. What color do you like? I was like, who is this? And then I asked them, like, what happened? Why you are so kind now? And I found it's weird. And then they were so honest. It was like, oh, the teenagers, they have social media in their hands. In your time, you don't have anything, so we could be mean. And I really like the answer, because it shows that they're aware of the trend. They are aware that their customers are changing, and they cannot be, mean at them, and they're still buying from you. Now they even put the price tag in every single flower, which I found it, oh my God, that's what I need 30 years ago, 20 years ago. So through all these small changes, and last year when we did the Bangkok Design Week, it was so much fun. It was so smooth in terms of organically people start to decorate their own shop just to attract this new customer. because the first year that we did the design week, I can only talk to maybe a few, shop that interested to participate because maybe they see the future in a different light. And when they spend money decorating the shop front, which doesn't increase the sale immediately, right? But those who play with us somehow got much more customers, these retail customers who maybe buy 30 baht, $1 flower, but they come like 10,000 visitors. So last year, all the shops competing with each other. And it was so much fun because when I worked with Klong Bang Luang community, they were really like a very warm community, like settlement where they know each other, they're helping each other, and they have community leader. At the Bangkok Flower Market, they don't have any community leader. Everyone is a competitor. And so how could we have participation then? And I consult with the local vendor that I work with, and then she said something like, "Oh, you don't have to have the whole meeting. You don't have to call everyone to the meeting and ask them what they want because we waste of time. You just have to make it happen and let them see how this can benefit themselves and their sales." And then it remind me of the website that I did. Oh, it was not so popular at all in 2017. And now people, why during COVID time, they started to inbox me, that they approach me. So same thing with decorating their shop front. I just worked with a few shops, and because they did it during the Bangkok Design Week, they were all on the social media. People with TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, even the free TV came to interview them. Like, oh, why this is so beautiful, and so on and so forth. So the nature of the Bangkok Flower Market is that I always metaphor them into like a forest. How you call it? What is the English word for the forest that is so rich? Like a lot of plants.
Vivid, maybe.
Vivid forest. Like a very deep forest, where all the plants need to survive by, getting the light. They competed, but they're not killing each other. So they compete to survive, and that's the characters I found Bangkok Flower Market is, where they compete with each other, but somehow everything is in kind of balance. But it's not in a balance in a peaceful way. It's a balance in a very hectic way, in a very chaotic way. Like, I am fighting with her, but at the same time, it's good for the whole local economy, something like that. So each shop owner now decorate their own shop, fighting to experiment with even some new businesses. So before it was just like they sell like a smaller bunch of flower, right? But that was something that happened maybe 2 years ago, and it was so popular, and now everyone copied. Now we found a new business model launched by the younger generation of Bangkok Talat people, where you can go to the shop and you can pick one flower for 20 baht, less than $1. And you can have one flower and got wrapped for free, and then you can walk away with smile on your face, and you can customize what you need, because the pain point of the wholesale is that you have to buy the same flower for hundreds of them. So now you can customize. Maybe I need 20 baht of this yellow flower, and then another 30 baht from this purple, and then you match it, and then it's sparking your soul. And you can wrap it yourself, and staff maybe help you a little bit, but it's but if you want them to help you, you can pay extra, something like that. So it's customized to your need, and it's something that the younger customer really looking for. So now that's the new business model happening right now. So for this year, the Bangkok Design with Bangkok Flower Market is happening as we're sitting and talking right now. It started on Saturday and it will end on this Sunday. So it's the 8th to the 16th of February of 2025. So this year, I think it's got even easier as an organizer for me, that now I don't have to explain so much like why you have to decorate it. I just tell them that, oh, okay, this year Design Week would be 8th to 16th of February. Just be prepared that they might be a bit crowded, and some teenagers will come, so something like that. And we have much more shops who want to participate without us supporting anything. We never paid them to decorate the shop front, because if you pay them at the beginning, it will be a wrong start. It should be something they been empowered and then they said, oh, I should, small money, little things make difference. And now all the shops is competing, like, look at me. And I like those kind of competition when you compete to be succeed, to be successful. Because when one shop is beautiful, the whole neighborhood will be beautiful somehow. And this year, we did something again. My academic friend might found it a bit ridiculous when we have the mascot, right? Mascots is everywhere, like when you have another mascot, you say, another mascot. But we would like to argue that this is the time for the mascot, because we call the theme of this Bangkok flower market called Blossom, because we believe that flower takes time to bloom, and for the first 2 years we wouldn't have mascot that time because it would be so forcing. Like no one would need a mascot at Bangkok flower market in 2023. Like it would be like, who's gonna play that, Yeah. But now they started to see some new intervention, like something a bit weird, something they're not familiar with, but somehow it brings something new. So the mascot is coming from all a lot of vendors sitting together and we need something refreshing this year, and we want something that people can look and smile. It doesn't have to be related to our heritage, because sometimes when people have so much heritage to tell, so much heritage to conserve, it's got too heavy. But actually, that's the first 2 years I'm trying to communicate with our art, is that sometimes we show the photograph of the local vendors, but I call it with smiling face, but sometimes to make it a little bit more serious, to communicate that there are people here, the human of flower market are here. But this year we try to make it even lighter, like you can just come here and enjoy yourself and be inspired by one flower that you pick, and if you buy flower, somehow it benefit the local vendors already. You didn't have to like go and talk to them for an hour or something like that. And we agree on that. This year we're gonna make it in a very popular way, not so serious, and we try to introduce how people can use flower as a way to express themselves and also as a way to heal themselves. So all the art installation, a lot of them wouldn't be something so flashy. It would be even the immersive installation that we did in an abandoned building in the neighborhood. It's not just like you just go there and looking at the lighting flashing at you. You have to scan the QR code and read the questions. So you cannot be in a rush. You have to read the question like, how do you feel today? Who you miss? What kind of message you want to tell her or him or they? And then through those a few questions, it would lead you to today you need jasmine. And then those images of jasmine would be appear on the building that we projection mapping on. So I like this kind of thing because it's not like you're going to see some artist's work, but it's your own. It's your own personal message. That art is just a tool to express your own message to the world.
I really want to come there and try myself.
I think the question is in Thai, and that should be changed. But you can ask a staff; they will be stop and asking you. And a lot of art projects that are always about this. Like we even have like a workshop, but now is the time. It's called Koringa, flower arrangement, where the first sentence that the mentor will tell you is that you're not doing this arrangement for beauty, you do it for your own happiness. So it doesn't have to be something big or extravagant or trying to compete with the other participant in the workshop. The key is which flower make you happy. You go and pick them slowly, and then you slowly put it in any kind of container, and then you look at it and see what color it needs, what texture it needs, and all those outcomes from the workshop will be displayed as a part of the exhibition. So all these kind of So it's a bit, I would say it's a bit lighter, but at the same time, it's a bit deeper to your own self, which is this year we call Bangkok Blossom, because I think it's time for them to bloom, something like that.
And I guess it's about enjoying the process, right? While you're doing it. Wow, so many things. Thank you very much for introducing us to all these projects. You almost answered all my questions I had, but maybe I would like to move us to the beginning, and you started talking about your students at the beginning, and I'm interested how you organize this process of connecting students to the real projects, to the real people, to the real communities. How do you organize it, and what challenges they face?
I would talk about my undergraduate student first, because there's a challenging one. I work with second year students who are like maybe 19, you know. And I also experiment at the same time as I teach. So for the first year, I brought my undergrad student to Klong Bang Luang and let them talk to the local community. And of course, I supervise them. And then I learned the lesson in the sense that because they are so young, they couldn't read body language. They couldn't, they're teenager. When I was a teenager, I couldn't even understand myself, right? Let alone trying to empathize the local community. And I remember the first year we try to use the same technique that I learned from my PhD, that participation, you have to talk to them, right? But then my 19 years old student go and talk to them with the wrong facial expression. The exhibition that's supposed to happen in 4 days got cancelled. like in the blink of the eye. And I was like, what happened? Then I drove to the community right away, since I got the message from my student. And then she just said that, oh, the kid came here and showed us the design, and they said, can you change a little bit of this, a little bit of that, because we're concerned about this and a lot of that. And then the student said, no, the deadline is in 4 days. And it's very understandable for the kid at 19 years old. They're afraid of deadline, right? Yeah. And you're gonna get grades from me, and if you change it, who won't finish? But of course, they didn't explain the whole thing, and they just said, no, the deadline is coming. And then of course the local community was like, then I don't need this in front of my house. I don't need this in front of my shop. And then it's me at 30 years old something who have to use my mature skill and explain in a human way, like, oh, I'm so sorry, auntie. What they mean is that this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, okay, why didn't you just say that? I wouldn't just change the whole thing. I just want this to be movable. So, So I learned that for the undergraduate, they have a lot of energy, they had a lot of intention, but you shouldn't expect them to be too mature to be able to control the situation and to communicate with the public.
To be able to negotiate.
To negotiate is too much to ask from them. So I should be the one who supervise very closely. But for the undergrad, because there would be like, at the first year we have maybe 40 students, but now we have like 70 students who want to join the program because they see from the previous year. The good thing about the undergrad is that they're so young and they're so refreshing and they never give up, So they have some crazy idea. Like this year, for example, one of the group of the students do the design thinking process now. In our class, we use a lot of design thinking, and then they said, oh, some of them haven't been to the Bangkok flower market, even though they study here. And then they said, oh, in the market, there was some, how you call it, the straw, yeah, the one who, carrying things like flowers or things one shop to another. And in flower market, there were like hundreds of them, and they walking everywhere. And sometimes it gets a little bit tense, like stressful. So they said, oh, that's the pain point. So we would like to decorate the straw to make it, with lighting, with flowers, just to, so next time you see a straw coming, you feel, ooh, rather than instead of, So, something very small. I couldn't think of myself, but they said, we just need something to smile at, some lighting, and then they work closely with the shop owner who rents out all these how you call it? Straw, yeah. And how can we decorate things without minimizing the capacity of the things, and they work closely with the real user, and it turned out to be something very small, so some LED flex lighting wrapping around, but at the same time they can carrying the same amount of goods, yeah. And every time you see them then coming, instead of feeling, oh, I need to get away, oh, that's beautiful, that's kind of fun. And another group, they do something about having people, encourage people to write a secret in the installation, because it's near the Valentine's Day. The design week is covered, the Valentine's Day. So if you come and write your own secret on the installation, and you can leave a message to someone who you like, may read it, and I was like, oh, that's okay, interesting. But my 40-something years old, will people really do that? And then it turns out it's a popular pieces. Like, people will come and read the others, and then write their own, something like that. So yeah, they have new ideas, which surprising me all the time, and I like it.
Yeah, I love how playful everything sounds like. I know that there are a lot of work in the process, but when you describe it after, it's very playful and a lot of creative processes. I like it.
Yeah.
It's also interesting that you always say that you can do just small changes, try to influence other people through your design elements, design something, design things. And yeah, I find it very relevant to myself, because I was always interested in exploring not like architecture styles, what kind of architecture style is this building, but what I feel when I see it, what I how it maybe formed me from my childhood, when I'm living in this area, in this neighborhood, in this type of buildings, and when I move like to another country, for example, and living in another area, and or when I just go to drink some coffee, and it depends, like my mood and my state depends on what kind of coffee shop I'll go, because they also like about elements and small things, not just about like coffee beans, but also about design,
the atmosphere, the vibe people give you. Yes, totally agree.
So it's very important, I think, like you don't need to underestimate it.
I totally agree. Sometimes you get the same product or same coffee or same brunch, but the smile of the waiter or waitress are different. It could really make a difference to that meal.
I also remember you mentioned in some article, in some interview, that you used disposal cameras. Can you describe it a little bit?
Oh, well, in that time we did it with many people actually, but the interesting one is when we did it with the Klong Banglo communities. It's one of the first year that we worked with them. And we want to know more about the community without researching, because we're so lazy. No, just joking. Of course, we can read something on internet or books, but we want to know from their own perspective. So we asking the local to take photograph of what they think interesting in the community and send it back to us. And we gave them 2 weeks to take photo. And we when I said we, it's actually mainly my student. So my student asking the elderly, the cafe owner, and also the monk, which normally Thai people wouldn't want to bother them, but because my student are so, energetic, so like, oh monk, please help us. And the monk there was so kind, and he just played with us, and he took the camera, and I think we gave maybe 7 or 8 disposal camera, and then we gave them 2 weeks, right? So before this workshop, the camera workshop, we only work in a certain area where is that was so called the artist house in the Klong Bang Luang community, which is already famous actually. So Klong Bang Luang, it was empty and abandoned, but it's like one artist house that's popular. It is only one attraction.
And what was there in this artist house?
It's the artist who actually graduated from Silpakorn University. He bought the house and turned it into like a performance house where you can like a puppet show and you can draw something. But it's only like one attraction in the whole neighborhood. But through that disposal camera workshop, we got a very interesting photo from the monk of a temple, which is maybe 5 minute walking from the artist's house, which normally even us as a student and teacher who work there normally wouldn't cross that bridge. It's like a small canal that you have to cross to that temple, right? And we go there sometime and we found it a bit not interesting. But the photo from the monk show that, wow, they have like a traditional dance because the monk took the photo of the dance. You know, it's in the 36 photo. If you remember when we, in the past, once upon a time, we can only took 36 photos per one row. So we saw the photograph of traditional dance where the kids dressing up and they came with their local teacher. So, what happened here? It means that the local school have a close relationship with the local temple. So they brought the student to perform something in the temple, right? So that's made it interesting in terms of relationship of human being. And then we also see a photograph of elderly visitor who come and pray. And then we also see people of kids like doing a bit like a b-boy dancing. And I was like, is it a hip hop place? or what happened here? And then I asked the monk about the photo because it's like, how you say, they have the head spin on the on the floor, on the ground. I was like, is it a hip hop thing or rap is now or what is it? And then the monk said, oh no. This is actually called like a local traditional dance where they have to perform like a tiger in the forest who, rolling around. It's like acrobatic thing. And I was like, and they use the space in your temple to do that, to practice? This temple has so much potential and I didn't see it before. And so next year we work with this temple, and this is actually the area that became very popular nowadays because the local community leader also live nearby the area. But the artist house is on another side, and we don't need to help them much because they're already an artist and they accomplish so much. So we move our project to that temple area. It was so much fun, and we found out that this temple has a very close relationship with the neighborhood. They didn't even have the wall. They didn't even have the gate. So people can just go there and take the herbs from the garden of the monk and come back home and drink it or something. And we also did some herbal garden in the temple. It's already there, but because it's run by local monk, so it looks a little bit scary. Like in Thailand, I don't know, in other religion, we are afraid of ghosts so much when we go to the temple, and the herbal garden is like, it's a bit like very quiet, a bit too much the sunshade. It looks like there's a ghost everywhere. So we as designer with my second year students, so we go there, use our labor. We don't have so much budget, so we use our labor and reorganizing things, cutting trees, and it become like a brighter. And we also did some like a map of the herbs that people can collect and what kind of menu they can create from the herbs, and and the monk loves it so much.
Beautiful. Wow, I love it. I think I would like to finish actually on this really like playful note, because you mentioned, told us a lot of things and projects, and I really see them very playful and childish in some good way, like very experimental, and I'm sure it's like also thanks to your students and to customers actually, because All the time you mentioned that customers of flower market or just tourists also bring something new, even like without any initiatives. So they just leave, they just go and they get used to it, and you and like all people should adapt to it, and it's so natural. Yeah, I like it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Kaputha. Yeah, I think this episode brings a lot of inspiration. I'm sure, yeah, because you show how creative this process can be. Not just, I don't know, like sitting and writing the master plans and all these things. It's very creative process. Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Neighbor Effect. If you have some ideas or feedback, please feel free to share your thoughts with us on social media. And don't forget to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Amazon Music, or wherever you find your podcasts. Thank you.